Question number three, the Honourable Annette King.
Starting with Bill English.
Question number three, Honourable
Thank you,
Annette
Mr
King.
Speaker. My question's to the Prime Minister. When he said, quote, in most cases the tax switch more than compensated people for the increase in GST, end quote, in which cases hadn't people been fully compensated?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, Budget 2010's tax switch meant that at all levels of income, the reduction in people's income tax was greater than the effect of increasing GST. So ordinary people earning a wage or salary and paying income tax were better off as a result of the tax switch. Superannuitants were also better off. Benefit payments were increased to compensate for the increase in GST. The only people who wouldn't have been fully compensated for the increase in GST were people who were sheltering income in trusts or otherwise earning income that wasn't fully taxed at the personal tax rates.
Question, Mr Speaker. If a family, such as the Alexander family featured on Campbell Live, received an $11 a week tax cut, but their food costs alone have increased by $25 a week, not just over 1 month, but over 6 months, does he believe that they have been more than compensated? If so, how?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The family has been compensated for the change in the increase in GST and the reduction in their personal tax rates. That is absolutely factually correct. What is also correct is that there will be increases, or maybe increases, or decreases actually in food prices. And as I say to the member, in the 2 years where Labour were in office, the last 2 years, I could have picked any two, frankly, but I just couldn't get enough data going back. Basically, cheese went up 50%, chicken went up 44%, milk went up 23%, petrol went up 22%. Actually, lamb chops went up by a certain amount and sausages and mince went down by a little bit more. I'm not sure the exact numbers there. Vegetables went up 21%. Bread went up 20%. Electricity went up 13%. And from memory, they didn't get much.
Order. The Honourable Annette King.
I certainly will. Thank you very much. Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. What then is his response to people like Sharon, who doesn't think that she's been more than compensated, a single parent who is a qualified financial worker, who knows how to budget, has had to toss up between whether she should fill her car up with petrol or buy groceries, and who's finding it very stressful to feed her kids, and who said, quote, John Key will lose another skilled person. As soon as I finish my degree, I will leave New Zealand.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm very disappointed if Sharon leaves New Zealand, because I think that by the sounds of things she can make a great contribution to New Zealand. But what I would say to her is that in the 3 years that National has been in government, we've done the following things. We've reformed the tax system and made it more effective for people to work, save and get ahead in their life. We have halved the level of interest rates which are in place in the New Zealand economy today. We have reduced the size of government as it operates today. We have saved billions of dollars of wasteful expenditure that the previous government had. We've made sure that her children... Yeah, it's a shame Helen bought those BMWs, but that's the way it goes, I suppose. I mean, yeah, it's a bit late when you arrive, you know. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Order. I think the House has heard sufficient. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
In light of his comment then that Helen bought the BMWs, why didn't the Prime Minister read the papers in his office that confirmed the purchase this year?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I'm the first to admit that the process was a bit sloppy and we should have had better paperwork. But I tell you what, talking of the papers, I was interested to see John Armstrong's column today that Labour are getting out of the gutter. We'll see if that lasts to 2:45 this afternoon.
The Honourable Annette King.
So smart.
Order.
Look at him. That's right. Go for it.
Order. No, order. We're not going to have any of this. I just ask members to resume his seat for a moment. Now, both front benches will come to order, especially on this occasion, I think, the National front bench. The Honourable Annette King.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. So what does he say to another person who responded to his comments about the tax cuts on Campbell Live, for those who don't believe it, who is prepared to speak up, but said she cannot afford the diet necessary for her diabetes and her husband's heart condition due to the rising cost of living and the GST rise, and that her family is not living now, they are existing. And is that what he meant when he said people would be better off under National?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
A couple of things. Let's go and examine the facts. In the 9 years that Labor were in office, last 9 years, real wages went ahead 3% in the entire 9 years. Under a national government, they've gone considerably faster than that in the 2.5 years we've been there. Let's look at health. Seen the member raised it. We are spending more money in health than New Zealand ever has before. New Zealanders are waiting 4 weeks or less for cancer treatment. We had 20,000 extra elective surgery operations committed this year than last year. More New Zealand children are being immunised than before. And, Mr Speaker, tomorrow even more money will be going into health.
The Honourable Annette King.
Does he think that his lack of empathy towards people who are struggling and his own nonchalant attitude towards his own finances, as shown in the Dom Post today, that he hasn't had to check his superannuation balance for the last 8 or 9 years, makes him more or less likely to understand the pressures that a family has every day counting their pennies?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, there's a very good reason why I haven't checked my superannuation balance, and that's because when you're Prime Minister, you're extremely busy on the things that really matter, which is the future of New Zealand.
Question number 4, John Biscowen.